If you truly care about me, don't scroll, not because I need your attention, but because this might change the way you think. We live in a world where people double tap dreams but won't invest 60 seconds to understand them. If you care about me, prove it. Stay for 1 minute. If you truly support someone, you don't just show up when the lights are bright and the results are visible. You show up when the work is invisible. Anyone can celebrate a victory. It takes no courage to applaud a finished product. But the real test of loyalty is whether you're present during the uncertainty, when there are no guarantees, no applause, and no proof that the effort will pay off. Success is the highlight reel. The process is the unseen footage that actually matters. Behind every breakthrough are months, sometimes years, of doubt, recalibration, and relentless repetition. When someone is building something meaningful, it often looks like chaos from the outside. Progress is not always linear. It can look like mistakes, pivots, late nights, and uncomfortable risks. If you only support the polished outcome, you're not supporting the dream. You're supporting the proof. Real support means understanding that growth is messy. It means being patient when results are slow. It means not questioning someone's ambition just because the evidence hasn't appeared yet. The strongest relationships in business, in friendship, in life are built on belief before validation. Belief is expensive. Validation is cheap. When someone is in the process, they are vulnerable. They are investing time, energy, reputation, and sometimes everything they have into an idea that hasn't materialized yet. That stage requires encouragement, not skepticism, disguised as concern. It requires trust, not pressure, because pressure during creation can either forge resilience or crush momentum. Supporting the process also means respecting focus. When someone chooses discipline over distraction, it may feel like distance. But distance for growth is not abandonment, it's investment. The people who understand this don't demand constant attention. They understand long-term vision. The world rewards outcomes, but outcomes are built in isolation. If you truly care, you recognize that the grind is sacred. You don't interrupt it with doubt. You don't measure it with impatience. You protect it. Because when the breakthrough finally happens, and it will, you won't just be celebrating a win. You'll know you were part of the foundation that made it possible. Most people choose comfort because it feels safe. It feels predictable. It feels controlled. Comfort tells you to protect what you have, to avoid embarrassment, to stay within the boundaries of what's already proven. But impact doesn't live there. Impact lives on the edge, where outcomes are uncertain and effort is demanding. Choosing impact means accepting discomfort as part of the journey. It means understanding that growth rarely feels good in the moment. Growth stretches you. It forces you to confront your limits, then challenges you to move beyond them. That tension, the pressure between where you are and where you could be, is not a warning sign. It's a signal that you're evolving. Comfort prioritizes convenience. Impact prioritizes contribution. When you chase comfort, your decisions revolve around avoiding risk. You ask, what if this fails? When you chase impact, the question shifts to, what happens if I don't try? That single shift changes everything. It turns fear into fuel. It transforms uncertainty into opportunity. Impact requires long hours when no one is watching. It requires discipline when motivation fades. It demands that you delay gratification in exchange for long-term significance. It asks you to tolerate criticism, skepticism, and sometimes isolation. Because when you aim higher than average, average will question you. Discomfort is not a flaw in the system. It is the system. Every breakthrough, personal or global, came from someone who was willing to endure friction. Friction creates progress. Without resistance, there is no strength. Without pressure, there is no transformation. Choosing impact also means redefining failure. In a comfort-driven mindset, failure is something to avoid at all costs. In an impact-driven mindset, failure is feedback. It's data. It's refinement. Every misstep sharpens clarity and strengthens strategy. The goal is not to avoid falling. It's to fall forward. Comfort keeps you stable. Impact makes you scalable. The difference between the two is simple but powerful. Comfort protects the present, impact builds the future. And the future is never built from a place of ease. It's built by those willing to endure temporary discomfort for permanent change. If you want a life that matters, you can't optimize for ease. You have to optimize for influence. Most people are taught to fear failure. From an early age, mistakes are marked in red ink, losses are criticized, and setbacks are treated like proof of inadequacy. Over time, this conditions people to avoid risk altogether. But that mindset is fragile, because if you're not failing at something, you're probably not pushing your limits. Failure is not a disaster. It is data. When something doesn't work, it's not a verdict on your intelligence or potential. It's feedback. It tells you what assumptions were wrong, what systems were weak, what timing was off, or what strategy needs refinement. That information is incredibly valuable, but only if you're willing to extract it instead of emotionally reacting to it. Think of every failed attempt as an experiment. If an experiment doesn't produce the desired result, scientists don't quit science. They adjust variables, they test again, they refine. Progress is built on iteration, not perfection. The only true failure is refusing to iterate. When you reframe failure as data, you remove the emotional weight attached to it. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you ask, "What is this teaching me?" That shift transforms frustration into curiosity, and curiosity leads to improvement. The fear of failure paralyzes action, but action, even imperfect action, creates momentum. Every attempt sharpens your understanding. Every mistake eliminates one wrong path. You get closer to the right solution not by avoiding errors, but by systematically learning from them. This doesn't mean failure feels good. It doesn't. It can be uncomfortable, humbling, even painful, but discomfort doesn't equal defeat. It equals growth and progress. If you're building something meaningful, setbacks are not signs to stop. They are signals to adjust. The most successful people are not those who avoided failure. They are the ones who collected more data than anyone else. They tried, measured, adapted, and tried again. While others quit at the first obstacle, they treated obstacles as information. If you remove the stigma from failure, you unlock speed. You move faster because you're no longer protecting your ego. You're optimizing for learning, and in the long run, the person who learns the fastest wins. Every transformative idea looks unreasonable in the beginning. When a vision stretches beyond what people have seen before, the first reaction is rarely applause. It's doubt, it's skepticism, it's quiet laughter followed by confident explanations of why it can't be done. That's because people don't measure possibility by potential. They measure it by precedent. If it hasn't been done before, the assumption is that it shouldn't be attempted. But precedent is a poor predictor of progress. Every major advancement started as something that didn't fit the current narrative of what was realistic. When you think beyond the accepted boundaries, you temporarily step outside social agreement. And social agreement feels safe. It feels validated. Breaking away from it feels isolating. But innovation has never been a group activity at the start. It begins with a single perspective that refuses to shrink to fit conventional logic. Vision requires seeing outcomes before evidence exists. That makes it look irrational to those who rely only on visible proof. They see risk, you see trajectory, they see uncertainty, you see direction. The difference isn't intelligence, it's tolerance for ambiguity. Big ideas often challenge systems, habits, and beliefs, and people naturally defend what's familiar. Not because they're malicious, but because familiarity feels secure. When someone proposes a radical shift, it disrupts comfort, and disruption is uncomfortable to witness. But here's the pattern. What looks crazy at first eventually becomes obvious in hindsight. Once the idea succeeds, people say it was inevitable. They rewrite the story as if it always made sense, but it only makes sense after the results exist. The gap between vision and validation is where most people quit. They can handle effort, they can handle hard work. What they struggle with is being misunderstood. Holding on to a belief while others question your judgment requires resilience. It requires conviction stronger than public opinion. Visionaries are not fearless. They simply value the possibility of impact more than the comfort of approval. They are willing to be temporarily doubted for the sake of long-term change. If your idea doesn't challenge the present, it probably won't shape the future. And if it never sounds slightly irrational at the beginning, it may not be ambitious enough to matter. Most people think support means agreement. It doesn't. Agreement is easy. It requires no depth, no courage, no investment. You can agree with someone without ever helping them grow. Real support is heavier than that. It comes with responsibility. Accountability is the highest form of respect. When someone truly believes in your potential, they don't just celebrate your strengths, they confront your weaknesses. Not to diminish you, but to sharpen you. Because potential without discipline is wasted energy. Ambition without structure collapses under pressure. It's comfortable to surround yourself with people who always say, "You're right, it feels good." It protects your ego, but comfort does not create progress. Progress comes from friction. From honest conversations that expose blind spots and challenge excuses. Accountability means holding someone to the standard they claim to have. If you say you want excellence, then your habits must reflect excellence. If you say you want growth, then your actions must reflect growth. A real supporter will remind you of your own words when your behavior drifts from them. That kind of honesty can feel uncomfortable. It can feel confrontational. But there is a difference between criticism and correction. Criticism attacks the person. Correction strengthens the person. One tears down identity, the other builds capacity. The people who care about your future won't let you stay average. They won't let you rationalize procrastination. They won't applaud mediocrity just to keep peace. They will ask the hard questions. They will point out inconsistencies. They will demand alignment between vision and effort. And that pressure is a gift, because when someone holds you accountable, they are investing energy into your growth. They are refusing to let you shrink. They are signaling that you are capable of more. Weak support protects feelings. Strong support builds character. In moments of doubt, accountability becomes a stabilizer. It keeps you grounded and disciplined when motivation fades. It reminds you that your goals require consistency, not just inspiration. If you truly want to build something meaningful, you don't need more applause. You need more truth. And the people willing to give you truth, even when it's uncomfortable, are the ones who are committed to seeing you win at the highest level. The future has never been shaped by passive observers. It has always been built by people who decide to participate. Watching is easy. Commenting is easy. Critiquing from the sidelines is easy, but building requires commitment, energy, and responsibility. Believers don't just admire vision, they align with it. There is a difference between interest and conviction. Interest fades when challenges appear. Conviction strengthens under pressure. When obstacles show up, spectators step back, believers step forward. They don't wait for certainty. They move with intention, even when the outcome is still forming. Every meaningful movement, company, invention, or cultural shift began with a small group of people who chose to believe before results existed. They didn't have guarantees. They had trust in the mission, trust in the process, trust that persistence would eventually turn possibility into reality. Belief is powerful because it multiplies effort. When one person believes, progress is possible. When many believe, momentum becomes unstoppable. Momentum attracts resources, talent, and opportunity. But momentum begins with commitment, not curiosity. Spectators consume the future. Believers create it. Creation demands contribution. It demands time, skill,